Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we have just finished Macross Dynamite 7, which is the last thing in the entire Macross 7 lineup. So, of course, we're coming back to do character rankings and tell you what our top 5 episodes of all of it were. Well, all of it from Macross 7 to the end of Macross Dynamite 7, that is. Tell me, what would you prefer to start with? Would you prefer to do characters or would you prefer to do episodes?
Let's do the episodes. There are five. Bang them out. And I think we're gonna have widely different. Maybe one or two episodes are gonna be in the ballpark, or where. Yeah, but most of them are gonna be all over the place.
I mean, I don't know. The thing is that you didn't like a majority of Macross 7. Fair?
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't have as much of a problem with it, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the episodes that I liked, you liked, and a lot of the episodes you liked, I probably liked because you had a higher filter for what was good. I feel like we had the same feelings on a bunch of it, but yeah, we'll do the same thing we did before, where you say your number 5 and I'll say my number 5, and if your number 5 is anywhere higher on my list, I'll say that, and then you go forwards. Same back and forth. Otherwise, I'll also be writing down your
Also,
list so that I can have it in post.
a lot of episodes that would have ranked here didn't because they were part of arcs that to me didn't go anywhere. Like it's the beginning of the arc or the end of the arc. It's like, oh, this is a good episode by itself. But then you look at it, the whole. It's like, eh.
I mean, that's fair. I don't think I based any of my picks on the arcs that they were in. In fact, one of my picks somebody listed as a filler episode. So, but the concept of the arc that they're in having a weight in on them, I can see as a fair point. Because I think I've described before that sometimes I list episodes as payoff and setup, and a lot of time the top of my list is going to be all the payoff episodes, and sometimes the setup episodes are so good that they'll wind up on the list. But the majority of the time, I'm all about that payoff. So I guess that would be my concept, and your the arc matters thing is that if the payoff episodes suck, then the arc sucks. But yeah, let's
Well,
go ahead and
yeah, you have a setup that doesn't go anywhere, then
I don't
you
know. Like I
wasted that
said,
episode.
it on an individual basis for me is where I take it, but the payoff part of it, you're not going to get a lot of payoff episodes that the arcs suck. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop on into it. What is your number 5?
My number five is one. It's probably the only episode is in the first 20 episodes, and that's a life-threatening date.
Ah, you know what? We both have it on our list. That's my number 2.
Wow.
I really like Gamblin. And Gamblin, I wrote down my only note. I apologize to anyone who's hoping for in-depth character analysis from me. Not character analysis, in-depth breakdowns from me. I have like a tiny note, and it's all memory from here. I wrote down Macross 7 Die Hard.
Yes. And it works for him. He kicks ass. He has a couple of things that oh, this is kind of silly, whatever, but it's part of the show. The fact that he drags Mylene with her is like, Mylene, I want to go. It's like, okay, sure. It's one of a few times where he doesn't go like, oh, Mylene, this is going to be dangerous. Don't do. It's like, listen, you want to come with me? Sure. If
Well,
he can hack it,
he
kick it
doesn't
up with her.
drag her. He tells her to go get coffee, and then she just appears next to him, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Can't do anything now."
Yeah. But I mean, he doesn't do the, ironically, as much as this show does it, he doesn't do the, no, you shouldn't be here, little girl. Well, this is dangerous. Like, oh, you're here. I got to do my job. Keep your head down, okay?
Yeah. Then he's
Can you?
combat rolling down the hallways, shooting people, or hanging upside down when the elevator door opens, and blah blah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then it ends with Sybil showing up to attack Milia when Gamlin and
Yeah.
company show up, and it's like it's informative too because that's the first time we see the whole Zentradi have a adverse effect, or at least confirmation of it. Because Milia's like hand starts shaking, and she's the most calm character in the show.
And she wants to shoot her, and she can. It's like, I got to do something. And it's like, no, you can't. That genetic memory, I suppose. Yeah, but it was a fun episode, right? And
It was a great
it's
episode. It was
because
self-encapsulated too. You don't need the
yeah,
rest of the show.
it's kick-ass, but also it also has a lightheartedness of this show, which later on. Anyway, uh, that was fun. Right? It's a fun episode all around, right? The cops outside and all, and he's like, "No, I'm going to do this," and he does, and he doesn't do the thing. Opposed to Die Hard, where Die Hard is all like the guy gets cut up, and it's like, which is the point of like he's having trouble, but he's sassing the bad guys, which is fun on Die Hard. He was like, "Dude, I'm a military man. I got a job to do. Let's do it. let's just go." You
It
know.
is the I didn't watch or I haven't played the RoboCop video game, but if
Mhm.
you imagine, it's basically the start of that video game, right? They've taken over the tower. RoboCop comes walking in, and all the cops are like, "We're waiting for backup." I am the backup. Gambler just grabs a gun, goes in, solves the situation.
And it's a tranquilizer gun. They actually tell us that. So he tranks everybody. He
And I
doesn't
will
kill
also
anybody.
say, I said one of the episodes people have listed as filler. This is that filler episode.
Eh, I like it.
Well, I mean, it's your number 5, my number 2. So, I mean, I told you, Gamlin's one of my favorite characters in the, I'll say show, like the whole series, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm more of
Gamlin
my
is
lead
better than
character.
Hikaru to me.
No, but I can
Look,
see why you
Gamlin's
like him.
Gamlin's love life problems are even easier to understand than Hikaru's, and he talks about them. Like,
Yeah, he does.
he's an effective Hikaru who also is a military pilot who, granted, he does more fighter pilot in, like, not Gerwalk, Batroid mode.
Battery mode, yeah.
Yeah, he does more of his fighting in Batroid mode, and Hikaru does more of his fighting in jet fighter mode, but
Yeah.
I don't know. My opinion, of course, obviously. I didn't have myself drawn as Gamlin, but I probably would have had I known what was coming. Well, technically. Literally, I would have had myself drawn as Barton, let's be fair.
Hmm.
But yeah. Okay, that was your number 5. My number 5 is episode 38, Civil of the Forbidden Planet. The Death of Giggle. It's
I
the
was I was thinking about putting that episode, but I was like,
not on your
yeah,
list then. Okay.
not on the list, yeah. But it was my it would have been in my top 10 definitely.
Well, it's the payoff to Giggle's entire development. Because you got
That's
to
true.
imagine that maybe a third of the series is Giggle's character development. From going off against Gepernick to use their spiritua that they've been gathering to wake up Civil. The, hey, we're comrades, Civil, congratulations on getting a promotion, which is a weird thing to say to her, because we know she can only say 2 words at a time. To he what was it, 1 episode or 2 episodes before that, he's singing at her, so he's already made this entire breakthrough. But then they go to attack her, and he gets knocked down, and he sings, and he gets killed, and he breaks through another barrier to awaken himself. But he's not fully awakened, and he basically destroys a planet, which is also the biggest thing we've seen any of them do. I guess arguably Gepernick draining the galaxy, but we don't really see that happen. They don't even escape the solar system. Giggle destroys a whole fucking planet. We see Civil cry in space, or at least tears come off of her face, which I guess is the closest thing we get to crying from her. It's the payoff, like I said before, payoff episodes and setup episodes. This is the payoff to one long storyline.
Yeah, the thing that I wouldn't put it is because while yet that all that is true, we never get the reason why he does it, right? I know the show doesn't care,
Sorry, I'm going to
and
be
if
real
you don't,
cheesy here, Lessons. Love doesn't need a reason.
yeah, but we don't even show that he's in love. He's just like Sybil, Sybil, Shibble, Shibble, Sybil. That's it. That's all. Like one note, and
I'm
that.
not going to argue that he doesn't like Civil, 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 Civil. That is true. I'm just saying that
Uh,
his obsession seems very clearly to be a love obsession.
at least one sided, Although clearly Shibble mourns his death, which is, at least he acknowledged that he was somebody to be
Look,
acknowledged in
in
the
the
last moment.
grand tradition of Macross funeral scenes, She remembers him, cries, and then never thinks about it again.
Because Basara.
I guess technically, LaSalle is the only one that ever thought about anybody that died ever again. Actually, I guess Hikaru does too.
Yeah, he has a little scene where he's remembering Heyo
Yeah, and
and
I'm just thinking about the In the Rain episode with Roy, where we get Roy's backstory as told by Claudia. So that's the one exception to the rule. Everyone else that dies gets whatever they get, and then it's never talked about.
gotta move on.
But yeah, I mean that's also the reason why it's like my number 5. It's a good payoff episode amongst not a lot of hard hitting payoff episodes. Also,
Yeah.
again, he destroys a fucking planet. You got to give
That's
him
a good
something
point.
for going out like I'm not going to say like a boss because I have another episode on my list that is literally somebody going out like a boss, but he does more than anybody else. Plus, he's had like the hardest impact on the show. He's touched every main character, not physically,
Yeah.
but you know.
He did beat the crap out of Basara. That's extra points right there.
Yeah. All right. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Papa Mama Love Once Again.
What you know what episode number that was?
Yeah, that was episode 29.
I'll say not on my list. I thought about it. I think it was one of the ones I took off my list.
Yeah, I liked it because A, it's a Mylene centric episode. It also includes the other 2 characters I really like and their backstory, which never really gets resolved, which is Mylene, Milia, and Max. I really wanted to see some resolution, even if it was like, listen, we love each other, but we can't be together. This is the end. Even if I gotten that, that would be cool. Or they get back together, right? I guess it's frustration of being a child of divorce, and you want to just get it over with, just make up your mind. Anyway, but and she shows to loves, and also it's a show where she shows that love, her energy is also going to Basara as well as going to gambling, right? But my focus is on that. And what's interesting is that at the end, they're even fighting, but when they basically say, okay, we might be fighting, but you, Mylene, you're our daughter and we love you.
That's what
And
I was
that's
going to
yeah.
bring up if you didn't, that they are fighting the entire fucking episode. Look, because the beginning of the episode they're crossing paths without realizing that they've just missed each other. Because Mylene has tricked them, like parent swap.
Parent trap.
Yeah,
This
parent
is parent
trap.
trap type of rap,
Parent
yeah.
swap, that's a different thing. Parent trapping their way to be in a same place, same time. It's also the very funny thing because first episode I bring up the fact that Sound Force is homing, it's auto targeting, because her Sound Force energy goes to them before she even realizes they're there, which means that it's independent of her. But yeah, the fact that they're on the giant TV screen arguing with one another, and then Mylene's getting depressed because she's seeing her parents fighting, and then her parents are seeing like Mylene stopping, and it's like, what are you doing? Just because we're having a problem doesn't mean we don't love you. And that's what picks her back up again. So it's a very touching moment at the end. But
And
yeah,
even
just like
Milia says, you're my daughter, right? I know you can do this because you're my daughter, right?
yeah,
And I think Max says, I have confidence in you, right? Very typical of their characters and of their relationship, which if the show would have gone somewhere with these things, it would have been much better for me. But no.
well, I mean, it's as you said, any episode that has a lot of Max and Mylene together, sorry, Max and Milia together is a better episode. By the way, I want to say that before I made my list, I did go to a different listing site to see what the popular episodes were, just to compare my thoughts to that. You know what the number 1 episode on that listing was?
What?
The episode where they almost fall into a fucking sun. Which,
Wow.
to be fair, has a good character moment between Gamlin and Basara,
Mhm.
but otherwise is a fucking stupid episode, and I think you're dumb if you put it on your list. Hope you didn't. Lessons.
I mean, we talked about this. It would have been an interesting episode if they had like 1 or 2 episodes, like, first episode the ship gets kidnapped. Second episode they lose control of the fold, or maybe they jump again. They get jumped again in that episode,
It would
and
have
then it's
made
like, oh,
more
we
sense if it was a plot from the Proto Devlin to like kill everybody. We've
or
got the
no, say,
people we need for the spiritual farm. Destroy the rest.
or they, the second jump was a wild jump, and they jump right into the sun's orbit, and we start the episode like, oh no, there's a sun, right? And then you have the episode like that would be
I guess that
a
would
good,
work because we know that there's a
yeah,
long countdown timer on even
yeah,
when the thing works normally. So
yeah,
yeah, they could,
and
much like the tagline from Macross 7, they could have done better.
yes,
Oh man, that actually would make a great tagline. Not even because of the writing being bad, but because the characters, like everything the characters do too, they could have done better. All right, that was your number 4. My number 4 is one of those setup episodes I talked about. Episode 43, Individual Farewells. Does it make your list?
close, but no.
Yeah, Individual Farewells is a great character episode because I think I said this when we were watching it. It's what I wish all of the other maybe filler episodes were because it's Basara acting like a normal ass guy. They don't do anything of super importance because it's all about setting up for what they feel like is going to be their suicide mission next episode. So it's
Yeah,
just people interacting with people in normal, natural ways. We get a Mylene birthday party where she's trying to act happy, but she's sad not only because she's not been invited to the mission, but because she thinks everybody she cares about is about to die. And it's like, I can't. The juxtaposition also of her at the beginning of the episode being super excited about her 15th birthday to the point where she went out with a Kiko and printed up all these cards to give all her friends. So it's like, happy 15-year-old girl birthday party. And then she finds out what's about to happen and the fact she's not going and she's crying because all of her friends are going to die and leave her behind, which is, by the way, the depression that she feels during Mylene Beat. So it's double hard hitting if you think about it. This has already been expressed in the show before. Uh, and, even other stuff from the show pays off. Akiko and Ray, as you so quickly point out during the episode, that she jumps him because it's like, fuck it, I'm done throwing out my emotions to you. I'm gonna take what I want. I think
and even
Fafita,
have a see.
it's one of the rare episodes
It's
Fafitas
just
talks.
yeah,
So
and it's even swimming. Like she's trying to get this nervous energy out of her. She's just swimming back and forth. Like I have this energy in me, and I have to get it out. Right? She's not being stoic like usually is. Like, oh, you're just gonna stand here and be cool. As she
Basara
usually is.
explains to Mylene what she's feeling and why he
Yeah,
doesn't want her on the mission in
yeah,
words that make
yeah.
sense. Like I said, it is the base level of the show where I wanted the show to be the entire run. And it's a great setup episode because of everything as well. I think Max and Milia even get a moment together.
Yeah, when they switch jobs, because he basically says, "I want you to be the captain when I'm gonna be gone," and she's
Yeah,
like, "But you sure?" And she's like, "I trust you.
it's that
I wouldn't
300
leave this
moment, right?
anybody." Yeah, yeah,
Come back with your shielder on it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Which
be
fits again,
here to give you your job back when you come back.
which fits Melia because she's from a warrior culture, right? It literally she could have said that, to Max, and Max, who is a fighter pilot and a captain, would have understood it, right? They could have quoted 300, and it would have been perfect.
That the 300 hadn't come out by that time.
Yeah, but yeah. Well,
But
that's supposed to be a Spartan saying, basically. They could have said, "Oh, the Spartan mothers would have said that to their sons as they go to war." It's like, yeah, well,
except Milia wouldn't know the culture, and Max was pretty young when Earth got destroyed, so who knows?
yeah,
But
I
although
don't think
they
they
do
lost all
bring
their
all of
book.
Earth culture to Macross 7, so
Yeah,
who the
so
hell knows? But like I said, it is the best episode in the entire series, I feel like, for characterization. It is both a setup for the episode that's about to come, but it's also the payoff for every character building moment we've ever had in the show. That's my number 4. What is your number 3?
my number 3 is episode 44, "The Mystery of the Ruins."
You sure you got the number of that right?
Let me check.
Either you got the number wrong or I've got the number wrong on one of mine.
Check. Let me check. No, I think I did. Macross 7, Max 7.
I think that's episode 37.
Oh, Max 7. Okay. 37. Yeah, I don't know why I put 47.
Well,
Yeah.
you said 44, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
37.
it's 37. Sorry. Still is the same episode, The Mystery of the Ruins.
I will say, not on my list, but it was one when I wrote my what episodes I wanted. I had that one written down and I pruned it off because I don't know what you're going to say, but for me, it was a great setup episode. And obviously, I think I said during the reaction, this episode is great for world building. I really liked it because it set me up on that whole what are the character, not the character, the group relationships between Protoculture, Proto Devlin, the Zentradi, whatever the evil might have been, possibly the Supervision Army, all that stuff. That had been a whole little side chart on my thing because of it.
Well, that's it. First of all, we see the protoculture, or at least the closest thing to the protoculture. We see this glowing figure. It's supposed to be a giant, right? I don't know, right? Or it's a hologram. We never know what it is. I don't know if it's actual survival of the protoculture kept in this energy field
We've
or a
debated.
computer. But whatever it is, it's vaguely humanoid, right? Um, we focus on the protoculture. It also ties this. It's really what ties this more than the mechs and some to the greater storyline, like you mentioned, like stuff that we're talking about since Macross, even Macross Zero, right? What are the protocols? What are the powers? Stuff like that. The fact that they could create the evil, right? Um, you have Exodol actually walking around and kind of doing stuff, right? Instead of being just cooped up in a little neck thing that is always there, even if you don't like the design because it comes from Do You Remember Love?
Also,
Um,
strange heliopod carrying him by the head to the
yeah,
location.
and shoulders, yeah. But anyway, and Mylene's there. The way that they oh hey, we found peace because Centrati humans fucked. Okay, that's peace for you.
Well, she's a child of peace, which
Yeah,
ironically I believe we brought up during the episode that what if
yeah,
she was a Wraith baby? That's
yeah.
not a child of peace. That would have been.
No. Although according to this, according to Dynamite 7,
I guess, well,
Mylene beat.
one slight argument, I guess, in the benefit of that is that they means that the two races encountered one another and didn't like eradicate each other, because we know
Yeah,
that Centrati have a habit of just blowing worlds out of the out of space. So
yeah.
it
So there's
indicates
that.
something changed.
Yeah. Hopefully for the better. And Mylene, I think, is an example of being better. So overall, I liked it. Even the way it ended, like, oh no, we have this. And he was like, I'm gonna explain what's going on, and you have to do this, and then grapple, goes in and blows it up, and it's like, damn it. So it was a good tension and interesting. Too bad that Planet Lux got blown up, but
Well,
you
again,
know,
since I don't know what's coming in Frontier, we do get the benefit though of knowing that there's a galactic communications network. So the information that they got from this
mm-hmm.
should be information going forward in all the other shows.
Yeah,
That everyone now knows protoculture stuff and the evil and where the Centrati came from, etc., etc., etc. So it's not for nothing, but it adds to the greater world building of the universe.
yeah.
All right. Well, my number 3 was episode 26, Deathmatch at Planet Lux. I
I
know
don't
we
know.
made fun of it during it. Okay, you got it on your list?
No, that wasn't on my list, but it wasn't my top 10. It's like, I might put this one in. But it just kind of missed out because at the end, I don't think it really it got built up as like oh, it's gonna happen, but it didn't really deliver for me.
I
So
know
it's
that we
like,
made fun of it during it, but there's one specific event that pushes it into my top 3, obviously. And I imagine you can figure out what it is.
on top of my head, don't remember what it is.
Gamblin
Basara doing
spends
the
the start of the episode talking to Kinryu in his, hospital bed about all this stuff, and then we see Miho and Saint something, I forgot her name,
yeah, yeah.
going to visit him because they've been like in this not poly relationship, polycule or whatever, but it's a 3-way relationship. Actually, it's
Yeah,
hard to tell because it kind of feels like Miho might be being treated like a child in that one.
yeah,
So I can't really figure that one out. But they've been together this whole time. And then midway towards the end of the episode, Kinryu it pulls a Roy Fokker. He's like, "Fuck this!" Realizes everyone's in danger, gets out of bed, throws his shirt off, runs down to the hangar bay, just hops in the first open mech he can, flies into space, kicks everyone's ass on his way to the main Proto Devlin ship, bulls his way in there, starts belting out a firebomber song on his own, and then just fucking blows whatever cannon thing up that they're shooting them with,
yeah.
handling it everywhere. My note: Kinryu goes out like a boss.
And
It
he
is
did.
it
He
is
did. Clearly did.
Kinryu's fucking episode. I don't care that the giant fleet fight didn't go as great as we wanted it to. Everything I was saying about Kinryu being this season's Roy Fokker pans out right there, right up until the sacrifice at the end. That's it. Kinryu
Yeah,
made the episode for me.
yeah, that's true.
The same way that the death of Giggle made Civil the Forbidden Planet for me. I liked Kinryu more. Goes up higher on the list. Again, it's the thing that the two girls that he leaves behind
Mhm.
don't even think about him after that, is why I'm talking about the whole you get a funeral scene, they cried for him then, and those were the only tears Kinryu was getting. Nobody even thinks about him again. Also,
Nope.
the fact that I believe he was part of the Pink Pecker squad, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
I think he's in. Well, he might be part of the Pink Pecker squad with Roy and Stefan. I think.
Ray.
What did I say?
Roy.
Yep. Sorry, I'm doing your thing now.
Yeah,
With
sorry.
Ray and Stefan, but he is part of one of the older squads that gets mentioned.
Yeah,
I'm
they
pretty
know
sure.
each other. I
I'm
think.
pretty
I
sure
think
he
they
was in
know each
Pink
other.
Pecker squad. That's what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
is older importance. Remember, Pink Pecker squad was also a squadron that existed before Macross Plus happens. So he is backwards in the timeline.
Yep.
Plus, dude's got a bald ass head with like was it like a
A horse
unicorn or a Pegasus
or
or
horse or
something.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude is iconic. Has an iconic look.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is my number 3. What is your number 2?
My number two, I think, I don't. Maybe this might be your number one. Episode 40, Nightmarish Invasion.
That is my number 1. Also, we already covered what my number 2 was because my number 2 was the
Yeah.
life-threatening date.
Yeah. So Nightmarish Invasion because it's again payoff. You know, it's after that episode you mentioned with Mylene. They go into this planet. They're gonna have a battle. Basara is singing. Everybody's doing his thing. It's like the clock is counting down. And the Max says, "Okay, we're taking too many casualties. I got to go intervene." He gets in there. He kicks ass. Puts the nuke where he has to put it. Right. And it's like, aha. And Basara's like, oh no, my dad is like, don't worry about it. I'm gonna save him, right? Basara, I like Basara when he plays the hero, actually plays the hero, saves him, when saves Mylene from getting frozen, when saves the people from being kidnapped, when saves the day when he helping to repair the circuits that are gonna, or the City 7 is gonna crash into the star, right?
That
When he
one
does
doesn't
that,
count. That one doesn't count because specifically, as I brought up before, Gamblin is out there to help him, and he shoots Gamblin with speaker pods, hindering him.
yeah.
So it's
But
like,
not by much. Just being, wild about it. He wants everybody to hear his song, including Gamblin.
yeah, okay, but we're all getting melted by the sun.
Yeah.
Literally, what damage are you doing to my thing?
Yeah.
Puncturing it.
But when when he's doing that, I'm like, yeah, Basara. And when he actually talks to people, which is almost never, um,
Except for one episode, which made my list.
yeah. And he goes in, tries to save him. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get out of here. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna protect you. And then Gepernichi blows the entire thing out of the water by using their own nuke to blow up their ship that came and was like, you're screwed, and I'm
It's
gonna
a
capture
great
you.
cliffhanger to the episode.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, this if we had more episodes like that, well, not exactly like this because it would get boring, but that kind of style, like, yeah, the stakes are high. People are doing their thing. Sure, Basara is just singing, but that's what Basara does, so that's fine. Everybody's doing their own thing. Cool.
I'll tell you, I gave
And
no
my
consideration to the Basara shit when I put this on my as my number one. My number one, it's there because all the characters we care about, because literally all the characters who would volunteer. Okay, maybe not all of them, because of course Milia stays behind, and there are some characters left behind. Most of the characters we care about are on a suicide mission, and they know it. So seeing them all, we also get Inria's redemption sort of thing, that he's
yeah,
come back from his coma and is like, of course I'm going on the suicide mission for the people who ruined my life.
and it's one of the few times where Basara is like, even when Max is Basara is like, I'm gonna do my own thing, and Max is like, sure, if it works, we'll go with it. But
And
I got a plan
well,
B.
you also have no idea who the fuck is going to survive. Gamblin goes down.
Yeah,
Remember? Most of Diamond Squadron goes down. Docker is the only survivor, which is inversion of what happened last time. um, everyone's getting knocked out, and it's just great. Again, also the introduction of our first new model of fighter in the show in a long time, the
yeah,
VF-22.
22. Yeah,
Yeah, so that the it is an amazing action episode, but it has that emotional punch of I don't know how this is gonna go. It's near the end of the show. If we're gonna start killing people, now is gonna be the time. I don't really give a shit that Basara flew in there because I literally asked you during the episode, do you think
yeah.
the Sound Force could stop a nuke? Because obviously, if I thought that, the writers of the goddamn show thought that. Also, we saw Sound Force block later on, I think. We saw the Sound Force block Grabble's stronger
Bing.
than the Macross Battle 7 beam, which implies, yeah, probably could have stopped a nuke. So, yeah, if he just flew in there and then bubbled himself with Max, I think they would have been fine. I never felt any threat for Basara at any point.
But not for Max though. Max was gonna stay there and die basically.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, he
save the
didn't feel
day.
like he had any way out, especially the
Yeah.
fact that he folded in. He
Mhm.
just pops in out of nowhere. It's like suddenly Max is in the thing. It's like, oh, that's right. They had some sort of last minute plan that he mentioned, and then boom, he's in. That's what I'm saying. It's action piece after action piece. It doesn't let you down. And then when you think, okay, we got a moment to relax, boom, their ship blows up. We've got no way back. And you remember how at the end of Dynamite 7, I'm like, they don't have any full devices. How are they getting
Yeah.
anywhere? It's like,
Yeah.
that was the setup in that episode. We don't have any full devices. We're stuck here. And they just forgot that for Dynamite 7, that would be a thing as they fly into space to die of starvation, water loss, running out of
Yeah.
air, old age, whatever.
Yeah. Hmm.
Anyway, we already know my number one because my number one's your number two, and we already know my number two because my number two is your number five. So, what is your number one?
My number one is episode 48, Mylene Tears.
I
Be-
don't remember what happens in
It's a,
that episode.
it's the second to last episode, right? Where they're like, oh, Gebernicki activates its body, and it's expanding. Like, oh, we have this plan to just disrupt them, right? And it's it's now or never kind of situation, which would have been a setup for the last episode being great, except for not being that, you know.
I gotta
Uh,
admit, you just told me what episode it was and told me what happens in it. I still barely remember it. So
yeah,
I
it's
think this is the most poignant number one you could have picked in that it's an episode that rings so little bells to me. That your favorite episode of the entire show is a thing I can't even remember. Like I remember
yeah,
the
it's
last episode, and I think the episode before the one you're describing is the Gamlin's Rebellion, which I also considered for a moment, but it's like it wasn't that interesting. Like I enjoy the fact that Mylene has to rescue Gamlin, but at the
yeah,
same point,
it's also called Mylene, translated as Mylene's passionate song of tears as well.
oh, that's what I know
Um,
it as.
Yeah,
At the
yeah.
same time, though, it still doesn't ring any bells for me.
Yeah, we have Ray flashbacking back to when Stephen died again, and when he,
Yeah,
when because so also that's the episode where we kind of get a lot of, well, as much as Bizarro's backstory as we get, right? Not the TV show one, but rather him remembering him and when they met, and he was a mess. It was like, oh, okay, Bizarro, you're gonna be, you're gonna be my, I'm gonna do, get it says here Gepanichi,
that's why I said
truth one.
in the
Yeah,
original part of the show they said Gepernick, and like halfway through they changed the whatever the translators were doing. I'm just fucking
yeah.
Gepernick 100%. I don't care anymore.
Basara seemingly dying and then coming back because everybody sings, right? Like they, everybody gets into the spirit of what Basara was trying to play, which is his song finally reached
Oh,
everybody,
that's
right?
right. That's where they leave him in the pod, go out and
Yeah,
fight, then come back, and then Gamlin starts singing, and then apparently everybody throughout the fleet starts singing. I
yeah.
remember
City
now. I
Seven.
said that. That's the only thing I remember right now, though, is the whole Gamlin starts singing, and then everyone starts singing.
Yeah. So, and then he wakes up and it's like, yeah, and he basically says, "Oh, what happened? Is there a funeral or something?" And he goes in the fight. And it would have been a great setup for the final episode if the final episode ended with, "And did you not thought about being evil? Okay, cool. Okay, that's it. Bye."
I still think it's amazing that, like, almost all of our stuff has been like, okay, we would be in the same top 10. I don't think this would even be my top 15. This episode meant nothing to me. As a setup episode, I didn't think it was that great.
I think it's supposed to show that it's the closest that the show came to me to really showcase, well, that and Sybil's planet thing that you mentioned earlier, where people actually show the spirit of what the show is supposed to be about, the
Okay,
song
I
bringing
think
everybody together,
I think I
etc.
know what's going on here. This is your individual farewells.
Yeah.
I said individual farewells is what I wish the show as a baseline could have been, because it basically showed off what every character is about, paid off all of their world building and everything like that, or character building and everything like that. And what you keep describing is basically what I got from individual farewells, which itself was a setup episode for the next episode, which is my number one, your number two. So,
Yeah.
okay, I understand now why you've picked it. I just think
Mhm.
I enjoyed, obviously, it's a top five list. I enjoyed mine more than this, and then I can't even remember this.
Yeah.
So, this,
Yeah. I
for
think
me, rings
the
about as many
reason,
bells as one of the filler episodes in the middle of the show.
yeah, I think because it gets eclipsed by the final episode, which also has a lot of action, but
I don't know,
you
the
know,
last episode of the show wasn't that great either.
yeah, it
Ooh,
doesn't amount.
arms are spreading out. I made fun of the same thing for Dynamite 7. It's like, how is this a threat to the galaxy? These things aren't moving at light speed, even if they were, billions of years before it's even a threat to Earth. It's like, don't know how this is a problem. Except I just don't understand Proto Devlin as a galactic threat. The fact that they can move throughout I guess technically we did see Sybil travel through the galaxy faster than light speed, so I guess
Well,
technically
I
the
think you
arms
can
could
make it
have.
said that the more they absorb, the more powerful it becomes. If it absorbs the entirety of 77, which either has 1,000,000 souls or 10,000, whichever number you want to prefer, they would get even more powerful. And so, eventually it would just accelerate, right?
I guess, like I said, like a lot of the show, not sufficiently explained for my satisfaction.
That is very true.
At least I appreciate that Barton tried to make his own. kid. uh,
I think I can predict. I think I said most of mine were not going to be yours, but they're kind of adjacent to each other, right? Kind of like
we had
close
what,
enough.
two
Two,
overlapping?
two overlapping.
We had two overlapping, and at least I think one of you, yeah, you had Mystery of the Ruins, which would have been it was in my top 7, we'll say,
Yeah.
and you said a number of mine were in your like top 10. So like I said at the very beginning, we had the same feel for a lot of things, but you had a higher filter for bullshit than I did. So some of the stuff I enjoyed You might not have Deathmatch at Planet Lux, maybe, because the resolution wasn't that satisfying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, for me, it was my love of the character Kinryu because he was just Roy, and I'll carry that torch for Roy into this show. Kinryu's 5 minutes, maybe even less than 5 minutes, made the other 15 minutes bearable. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's our top 5 episodes of Macross 7. You might have noticed that we only picked episodes from Macross 7. That was not due to any rule. It just so happened that we did. I think I commented to you either off screen or another recording. I almost picked some of the Macross 7 Plus ones.
the
The
encore. Yeah, I thought.
No, not the encore. The encore was 3 full-length episodes. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
2-minute episodes. Like
The Almacas. Yeah.
yeah, like Blue Rhino Squadron arriving on the planet and waking the Proto Devil up was an amazing world-building backstory thing.
Yeah.
It also tells
But I.
us who Giggle was when he was a human and who Lord Geppernick was when they were human, and
Yeah.
Inria before they get mind controlled. It's pretty good for just a
Yeah.
2-minute short.
Yeah, but I always felt that should have been like literally the opening of the series, right?
Could have been. I mean, you could
Yeah.
like do a quick
Or
little
even
edit.
put or even put it like, oh, when they wake up this guy. Well, they kind of do. They he tells the story, but we don't see it. When they wake up the prisoner, he's like, oh, let me tell you a story, and then boom, that's it. You show that 2 minutes, and there you
Yeah,
go.
because I'm gonna say there's the element of that the Proto Devlin aren't present from the start of the show. They're introduced later on as a sudden threat. So
Yeah.
I guess there's that element of that going
Yeah,
on.
because
Anyway,
we.
also you brought up the fact that you could have put the movie on your list. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about the movie. But I still think at the end of the day I wouldn't have because
Top 10.
well, the movie has so many flaws in my yeah,
Yeah.
top 10. I'll agree with you, top 10.
Yeah. I mean, I like Amelia. I like the setup. It's just, again, there's no payoff. It's like, oh, all these things happen, and then
What
there's a
you
song
said
battle. That's it.
what you said before about the arc sucking, ruining
Yeah.
the benefits, the fact that the movie has no payoff ruins every other bit.
Yeah.
Amelia, cool character, no payoff. No development, doesn't even get to talk to Mylene, ruins her a bit for me. The picture is literally the picture of her with her family is the best payoff to her existing at all. And that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we have the character rankings.
Oh, these are going to be interesting.
And of course, I have up on top here the overall ranking, which is all Macross characters. But down here on the bottom, we have Macross 7 specifically. And as a reminder, do I still have that tab open? I don't. We rank them on 5 different elements. See if I can do this off the top of my head. Appearance. I cannot do this off the top of my head.
Let me get it.
Appearance, emotional resonance, backstory. I'm trying to fill in time while you look it up. I remember those 3.
Oh, nope. No, I thought I had it in on my own documents, but I do not. I just sent you the tab. Oh, Let me see. Docs.
Okay, here I've got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Distinctive personality, compelling backstory, iconic visual design, emotional resonance, significant character development on a sliding scale of 1 to 10. Let's see, one of these here. I'll give the example of, say, significant character development. A one example would be Shao Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist. Tucker is often considered a poorly developed character due to the nature of his actions, which makes him more of a plot device than a fully realized character. 5 example would be Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan. While Mikasa undergoes some development, it might be seen as less pronounced compared to other characters in the series, resulting in an average ranking. And a 10 would be Simone from Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Simone undergoes substantial growth, transforming from a timid boy to a courageous leader, making his character development highly impactful. Also, spoilers if you're watching our reaction to Gurren Lagann. However, this is probably coming out March 2025, so we'll be done that series by the time you see this. Unless you're on the Patreon, in which case, spoilers. So, yeah. And obviously, we take the combination of our two scores. Obviously, the best a character could get from one of us is a 50. Two 50s would be 100. Worst they could do is 5 from each of us, so two 5s equal a 10. So I don't know why on my score list that says an F could be a 2 from a 19. That's mathematically impossible, unless one of us cheats and does a 0 in something. I will say one of the characters you were actually honest about, and I gave them a spiteful score, which surprised me, because I thought we were going to be on the same page on that one, and you weren't. I will say,
Well,
I feel like the closer you got to the end of the list, the less you cared, because there are two characters which are fucking identical that you gave two different scores to. That's
one that
how
I remember the more. Basically, I remember them more. It's like, oh, I
literally they
remember her.
finished each other's sentences. They had nothing different other than their color. And it occurred to me this morning, maybe he likes one color better than the other. I could not figure it out.
No,
But
I think there's an explanation to it. If we're talking about, well, when we get to them, I'll remember and I'll tell you
they'll
why
show
that
up
is.
pretty
And
quick. They don't. I think
they
I
don't,
was the
they
downer.
don't.
I was the downer on this one, mostly I feel like because I ranked everybody kind of like in the middle. There was a lot of like 20 to 25s in my personal scoring versus yours, which kind of went from your normal, they were a background character, 1, to surprisingly high for a character I didn't think we gave a shit about. So, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in reverse and show you the S rank characters, because this will surprise
Oh,
you, or it won't, because there are none. Because there are no S rank characters in Macross 7. I
that's
figure we just get that out of the way right off the bat. All right, let me center this here, or zoom in a bit, because F tier will not be surprising either. I also forgot that in the original Macross tier list that we had a bunch of F rank characters, because I think this happened before when me and Griffin did a Gundam show before, that we had no F rank characters because Griffin was overly generous. But in F rank, we have, disappointing me, Flower Girl. I had to be honest, I ranked Flower Girl really low too. There is nothing distinctive about her. I really like the character of Flower Girl.
yeah.
She's just nothing there. There's no content.
We wanted more. I wanted more from Flower Girl, but again, Flower Girl is the epitome of the show. They put something there. They hint that there might be something good about it, and then it's like,
Well, obviously, the highest thing you can rank her in is appearance. And I don't think you were
yeah.
that generous with her, and I don't think I was that generous with her. But otherwise,
I
there's
mean,
no development. There's no
she's.
backstory. I guess technically there could be, in that she may be immortal. But
I mean, she's
otherwise,
blonde. She's wearing a sundress and always carrying. She's only distinctive in that she's very blonde and very bright compared to other characters who wear different colors of golden, darker colors, and
her
that's it.
two
But
biggest elements of development are when Inria stumbles upon her when she's listening to music on like a hill, and
yeah,
he goes like a huh, and she does a huh, and that was it. Or I think it might have been an encore episode where Milia is trying to get Basara to marry Mylene, and she says something about not being like a child, and Flower Girl is sitting at a nearby table, and she's like starts analyzing her dress, like what?
yeah,
That's
that's
about
it.
it.
And she probably was eating alone too because she
She
was
was.
apparently in a restaurant. So I guess she has money enough to eat
But
in a
yeah,
restaurant
no,
like
I
that.
did not include the fact that we know that she was there at the end of Space War 1 in the thing, because that's like a book thing. I didn't include anything. Obviously, I also did all my scoring before I read Mylene Beat,
Mhm.
because next
Yeah.
up we have Cheetos here.
Uh-huh.
And technically, if I had read Mylene Beat first and I was including it, I'd probably give her some bonus points for the fact that she gets development there. Like, she attacks Mylene out of anger, and is partly responsible for Ray and Vaphitas and them going to rescue her, and her little toast to kiss my ass, Sasabi, because we both don't like that character.
Yeah.
So she gets more development in that than she does in the show. Obviously, Jessica is just a one-off reporter. Krishovich is just a historian for Firebomber who
Yeah.
gets it wrong. And Stefan, the guy who died.
Yeah, he's canon fodder for the story, basically.
Yeah, not much there. Anything else you want to say about this little group of F tier, the worst of the worst?
Yeah, no. I thought about putting another character there, but when we get to her,
Well, again, it's
I'll
a
tell you why.
combination of scores, so
Yeah. I'll tell
someone
you
I might
why.
love, you might not.
Yeah.
All right, off to D tier, capped off by Honey Suzuki.
Mhm.
Obviously, we have Bobby. Colette is just side character to Rex, obviously. So, Bobby, the proto Sazabi, I guess.
Yeah.
Volgo, who is one of the more disappointing of the proto Devlin.
Yeah, he just sort
Sally,
of,
that's the one I couldn't remember. Saint is all I could figure out.
yeah, Sally Saintford.
I'm
Bridge
surprised
one.
Gaelic didn't get higher on your list, because he's the most in on the Fafitas background.
Yeah. But it's more of, oh yeah, I love you, blah blah blah. That's it.
I mean, we see him
You know.
twice, though. He gets 2
Yeah.
appearances.
Yeah.
Basara, obviously, not very surprising, but I am surprised nonetheless. D tier character, main character. Sazabi is the one that surprised me, because you ranked her literally, you gave her more than 5s in some categories. If
Yeah.
anyone wants to know, I gave her straight 1s. Fuck her.
I should have. That's the character I'm talking about because while I had, well, here's the thing. According to how you classify it, she definitely had an emotional resonance to me, right? I reacted strongly to her,
It's fair.
not not for the right reasons, but she's a memorable character.
Yeah, as I said, you
You know,
scared
so
her. Scared her? You scaled
excuse
her.
me.
You scaled her fairly, which surprised me because I gave her a spiked score. I gave her a spiked
Yeah,
score of straight
I
1s, and I thought we were going to be on the same page about this.
I thought about it, but it was like, yeah, you know,
Well, I mean, the fact I'm saying I gave her a straight score of 1s, which means we know I gave her a 5, which means that you gave her an average score. If I had given her a more average score, she would have been a C tier character. So she's not like super aided by you, but I hope she gets super aids. Anyway, Zomd and Gorham is what I was talking about before. Two
yeah,
characters which you thought were like one character at one point, and I
yeah. I
think
mean,
you like the color yellow more.
yeah, it's more and more like it's literally was the first one that came up, so that character was the one that reminded me of the two, right? I thought you want to say Miho and Sally, and I thought
No,
I actually rated,
Miho gets more characterization than Sally does, which is
yeah,
weird that you put Sally above. I can only assume she's hotter than Miho.
true,
But
but
no,
it's also
Miho gets the whole eating of snacks in her room while watching the Firebomber backstory, and Sally joins her later. Miho gets the I want you to marry Gamlin thing. Miho gets a
and
bunch of her own stuff.
yeah, and I think she also wanted to kiss in the Omake. He wanted to kiss the captain, but got
I think
caught.
that was
Oh,
Sally, actually.
that's why Sally gets a little more points from me.
Because you're giving her a little bit of max bonus? Okay.
Mhm. I
Anyway,
like
I also think
Max.
it's funny that we have a D tier character who's not a character. Flashiaika.
Yeah, yeah.
As I see, I'm saying very confused that she's showing up in the background constantly, but never there. Again, though, Zomd and Goram, why the 1 point difference? It's all
By the time I
you,
got
by the way. I gave them exactly the
yeah,
same score.
by the time I got to Goran, I was like, this character's not that important. I mean, visually distinctive, yeah, but I already seen they're twins, so yeah,
So he got less score for being further down the list,
basically.
which is why I have very big concerns about how you ranked some of the Macross Dynamite 7 people, because they're on the bottom of the list, and it seemed pretty crazy where you went. Oh, I will also say St. Laurent rather. Kim St. Laurent does have some character development, which is why I gave her some higher scores. Obviously, she's pretty low, so we didn't agree. But I mean, that we didn't agree. We both agreed that she was low, but
Yeah, I only saw her as a attachment to. He was Chiba's cheerleader, basically. Oh, doctor, you're doing
yeah,
so great.
essentially. But that is her
Yeah,
development. She goes from Bridge
yeah,
Bunny to I kind of almost felt like a love interest at some points to
yeah.
Shiba.
But Chiba was too much into his signs to care. So
Yeah. All right. Let me zoom back in here. And C tier. You should be noticing now how few people are on the bottom. Sorry, I'm also realizing I'm exposing a bit of the B tier, which kind of oddly, for as much as we didn't like the show that much, or a lot of aspects of it, it's top heavy. It's top heavy when it comes to ranking of the characters.
I think it's visual distinctiveness that really pushed a lot of these characters up. Like especially in the added material, they went above and beyond to like we're gonna make this character visually distinctive, and
I
I
mean,
think
that's
that's what
fair.
pushed it up.
That's
Yeah,
fair, but that's only one out of 5 categories, though.
true.
If it was just distinctiveness, then at best they'd have a 14, and that still wouldn't push them past the 36. Like, nobody should be in C tier off of visual distinctiveness alone.
Yeah, but I think that's what not alone, but it's kind of like we pushed them up a little above, above
Well,
the
yeah, sure, you can be in C tier on visual distinctive. Not you have visually distinct characters in C tier. But if they're just visually distinctive, they should still probably be in D tier. Like 2 14s makes a 28. You're still in D tier. But yeah, no, heading up, we got Gadget Chiba, Dr. Chiba, eventually Captain Chiba, if you listened to our talking about Mylene Beat. Chlor, which I guess you liked a lot more than I thought you did.
I
Yeah,
liked it until I mean, she was, she was smart. It was like, oh, well, she actually was her second in command that turned out to be smarter, but she was like, oh, I'm gonna kick ass. I'm gonna prove my point. Oh, Amelia showed up. It's like, well, I'm gonna kick your ass anyway, right? She was going for it, right? Until the very end when she succumbed to
well, no.
Basara's song.
Maybe she succumbed in the way that Quamsim succumbed. She was attacking
Yeah,
him right to the credits,
yeah,
so there
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
a. She wasn't like Tranquil. No, what I mean is that you said negative things about her to the very end,
yeah,
and then your score was positive. But as you've already pointed out with the Sazabi, a bad emotional reaction is still a reaction. So,
yeah.
which is fair. I think I've done that to characters in the past. Miguel, surprising considering he's barely there.
Yeah, but I liked what we got. I mean, again, what we got out of him, I really liked. Like the concerned grandfather who doesn't want to dig up the past, and but at the same time, the whole gag with the shotgun, I think, just kept him in my mind. Like he kept, massaging the shotgun, and he was like, "Everybody, just stop doing that." I know what I'm doing. Boom, and
Yeah,
they
it
just
goes
fire it
off
up.
twice, which is a cautionary
Yeah,
tale for
yeah.
hopefully kids aren't
Anyway,
watching the anime.
yeah.
Lawrence,
Firearms are
which
dangerous.
Lawrence
Yeah,
turns out to be a nobody, even at the episode we watched just a minute ago. The Johnsons are together.
yeah.
Like I said, I liked Kaliba, I guess is his name. I like Kaliba's visualization, but again, he was like
Yeah.
a nothing outside of that, along with Docker right next to him.
Yeah, Docker was more important because of how gambling fell about. It's like Docker, Docker, Docker. But when he shows up, turns out to be a complete a-hole. Like
Yeah,
he's a good pilot. He's got his skill, but that's about it.
I'm sad that Fizia didn't beat out Docker at the very least, because Fizia has the whole leaving the family behind thing. I was almost
Uh,
tempted if it would have been in probably my top 10, the music box on the battlefield episode.
mhm. Yeah, but the problem is that episode was self-justifying. It's like, oh, we're gonna focus on this character. Death flag, death flag. It's like, okay, I know what you're doing here,
I
and you
mean,
did
that
it.
still doesn't make him less important. He is effectively Maury and Dick as a character before Maury and Dick show up.
That's true.
We didn't
But
talk
still,
about it.
but
Maury actually got lines where he talks to Gamlin about motivation and shit. That's why Maury
yeah,
is 1 point better than Dick.
yeah.
And Margaret, who, you know,
Right.
doesn't
Margareta,
talk.
yes. Actually, she doesn't talk at all.
Margareta.
No, she
Yeah.
does. She talks because when she explains to Basara what happened to Pedro's father, she's the one who does the explaining. It's not
I
Miguel.
don't remember. That's how.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why she's
yeah,
at the bottom of the tier. So,
yeah. Hmm.
god damn it. All right.
And she's also the one that decides to stay with Miguel. Like, I'm not going anywhere. It's like, okay, you're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Which, call it stupid, but that's memorable.
I mean,
At least to me.
not going anywhere isn't memorable. People do that all the time. In
Yeah.
fact, Japanese soldiers at the end of World War II did that, and we forgot about them. So I don't know. That's a weird example, but you know what I'm doing out here. Literally being quiet in the back is not the good way to be remembered. All right, if my memory serves, B tier coming up is the biggest category or the most filled. You know. Oh, I forget. I'm also bringing this up since this is where they show up. Changes character ranking notes as new versions of the characters. Oh, I'm sorry. That's something for the combined list. I'll bring that up there. I just
Yeah.
realized. But we see adult Max here is on B tier with his daughter and Giggle and Lisa because oddly you liked Dynamite 7 a lot more than I thought you did.
I did. I mean, in spite of, I hate that scene. And that really brought down Dynamite 7. If it hadn't had that, I was like, yeah, it's not awesome, but it's a nice side story. That's what it is. It's a side story. It's a Basara side story, right? That's
Cool, a side story about the character that what did we put him at? D tier? D tier.
yeah.
A side story about a D tier character that we've
But
complained about.
like I said, introduce a new planet, introduce a new race. I actually like, again, like everything in Mach 7, Basara is just there. Everything around him is far more interesting than him. And I did actually like the culture, the color palette, the relationship in the family, like the fact that Lisa becomes a cop basically and has to try to stop his father, right, from doing this crazy
The
stuff. That
most
her
interesting
react.
thing to me about Planet Zola is the fact that they play music without words. And then when they're not playing music without words, they play audiobooks, which is just words and no music.
Well, I think they play audio dramas.
Audiobooks.
That's a no audio dramas.
It's different from a radio play. An audio drama is just an audiobook.
I think it's a radio play. Then that's what they're doing.
It's not a radio play because a radio play would feature background noise of events and stuff. If you ever listen to, well, I guess technically it's hard to tell. I was about to use Dirk Gently's radio play as an example. Well, no, that is a radio. That's technically an audiobook and a radio play. Hard to tell. Anyway, I just like that juxtaposition of we either have sound and no words, or we have words and no sound. And that plays 24/7 on that planet.
Yeah.
Obviously, then we got.
They don't have television.
My other thought is obviously they should have animated Miley Beat and not what we got. Guvaba shows up in B tier. Akiko, Tranquil, because once again, you really like the side characters.
I like Tranquil better than I liked her boss, because she was the one who had the smarts. Like, oh, put a shield on them. Do this, do that. I know what's happening. I read Exodal's files, and when she really gets crazy, she really goes crazy. I mean, that's a picture of her like, going nuts.
That's the one behind the voice actors picked. I did not go out of my way to give you an Akiko face.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, again, your love for side characters with Elma. Yeah. Again, she's just Mylene light.
Oh, she's a proper kid,
No. Proper kids haven't shown up yet. Even though we have Billy over here, proper kids haven't shown up yet. She is Mylene. She is just Mylene in a show that we decided not to animate Mylene in.
Barely.
Lord Gepernick, our main villain, shows up in B tier.
Yeah, for me it was because they do have a distinctive look, but they remind me too much of, again, Saturday morning cartoon villain. Like, I'm going to get you next time.
Well, I mean, okay. B tier, we can both agree, is probably the lesser characters that we both agree are good. It is C tier is like the best of the worst. B tier is the worst of the best.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the dividing line anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, Billy, who I think I gave a lot of points to looking different. Or
Yeah.
not
I
looking different.
almost, again, the episode that he appears in was going to be in my top 10. Almost put it as a number 5,
Oh,
but
hell no.
decided not to.
Would have disagreed with you hard on that one. That was a dumb episode. Let's, like we talk about the whole rape thing, obviously, with Dynamite 7. Let's just make a bunch of, photographer pedophiles. That'll be cool. That's what they
Yeah.
get. That's what they are. You can't argue. They're peddling
I'm
pedophilic
not.
material.
I am not discussing. Nope. We're not
And
disputing
that's in
that
the
at all.
main show. That's not even side content.
Mhm.
All right, we got Ray and Vafidus, I guess 1-for-1. They're always in the cockpit together, too. It turns out they're the last members of the band, if you're being believed, too.
Yeah, because they quit after the last, like, oh, I'm
Well,
done.
people are
Bye.
cheering for cardboard cutouts, so you don't even need to be a
Yeah.
band anymore. Turns out our audience is brain damaged, as it turns,
It must have been all that spiritual draining, secondary
all those
effects.
comas we have built
Yeah.
up. All right, Arena, obviously, he's got backstory working for him. I
Yeah.
think mostly it's that the episode that I talked about, my number 1, your number 2, where he decides to go back and, Independence Day revenge. Gabble, obviously Gabble, visual. It's a visual thing, plus he has a very distinctive personality.
Beauty of this, beauty of that. It's like, okay, everything is beautiful to you. The beauty of destruction, the beauty of enslavement, the beautiful, like, okay.
Yep. Fulmo, one of our old-time characters. Sadly, Kinryu, I wish he had been higher. I was counting on him being higher, but I think actually I probably only ranked him middle of the road too. Like 25-ish or something like that. Next to my other favorite, Barton, who I also wish had gotten higher. And of course, Rex, bottom of B tier.
I think no, Button's very much an anime character, but I think they really went for that GI Joe look, right, to make him a little more Western in his features.
Well, I mean, it is like people from all over the world, right? Well, I guess technically, predominantly, it's people from China and Japan. If you think about it,
Yeah.
as the main body of people that are going to repopulate the planet is the people that were on the SDF Macross.
Yeah.
So, couple or a very small percentage of international people from UN Spacey, and then the population of locals. All right, which leaves us to A tier, as I've already shown that there is no S tier. These 6 people, starting with Gamblin, no complaints, but then we move on to Graham, which I have to believe was almost a complete 50 from you and like a 20-something from me, because obviously I've already said I give bonus points to people who are missing limbs, because obviously that's built-in backstory and visual distinction.
Well, I also like the fact that, for what it's worth, and I know you don't like it, he was kind of the prime mover of his own show, not Basara. And he got to smack Basara a couple of times on the face, which always gets
Graham?
points
I
from
don't
you.
remember that.
No, he
Maybe
was.
talking
Remember
about it in
when?
the not mobile suit, in the mech.
No. I mean, remember when Basara gets in the suit and it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna jump in the boat," and Graham's like, "Get the hell out of here!"
Oh,
You
yeah.
know.
I'm not
Yeah.
giving somebody like a plus 20 for pushing Basara into water. I'm just
I
saying.
would. I
You
would.
did. There's a difference. It's not a would. You did. The dude barely talks. His motivation is hard to understand because, again, he talks on a Basara level of talking. He
No, I
is a
think he's a.
frustrating character.
But he's a death seeker that justifies his seeking death. And this is one of the few times where Basara actually gets him to talk to him and says, "No, you think you want to kill the whales, but in fact, you want to die, right? It's you who wants to die, and you want to take the whales with you. You have a death wish. I don't want to kill them, right?"
Okay, for
So he actually has
perspective,
a
perspective's sake, for perspective's sake about why I am so not frustrated, I am just off put by him being here. We're saying that Graham, a guy with maybe 15 minutes of runtime, is as good a character as Gamlin, the best character in the entire Macross 7 run.
It tells you a lot about Macross 7 from
Now, it
my
tells
point
me a
of
lot
view.
about you. That's my only takeaway. You said that Graham is better than Milia, who's got built-in backstory.
Yeah, but in this case, Milia, I think, and it's the opposite. She's not as distinctly visually. That's why she got lost a couple of points to Graham, which got a couple of
This is why it's a
like,
character ranking built by the two of us, because obviously I'm going to disagree, but at the end of the day, it's democratic, so I'm not going to be like, fuck you, brings him down a score. He's a built-up of two of us. I guess I could have done the Sazabi thing if I really felt strongly about him. He's just a nothing to me. Pedro, that's a
he's
kid.
adorable.
That's a fucking kid.
It's
That's
adorable.
why I'm
Pedro
arguing
is
about
adorable.
the Elma thing and Billy.
Yeah, true.
That's why they're in B tier, and he's in the top 4 characters of the show, even though he barely shows up.
It's
He is
adorable.
a kid. He feels like a kid. He reacts like a kid. He's as sympathetic and emotionally resonant as a kid would be. He's a kid.
Yeah, Pedro
Oddly,
is
he's
good.
going to be in the A tier of the entire fucking run of the show, so it's...
Vote Pedro. Did
Then
you get that
Amelia,
reference?
which again, disappointment for me that we didn't get more, which is goes to the whole episode ranking thing that we did, lacking a payoff. And Sybil, of course, because at least one of the Proto Devlin had to be in the top, right?
And she actually was important to the plot, right? Even served as a sort of motivator for Basara for a while, right? Even if it never gets explained, other than Basara just gets. I guess anybody who Civil really kisses, I guess at some point Civil kissed. What's his name? I'm gonna find him here. Giggle, and he couldn't resist her, and he became just as upset as Basara did.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's true. He almost
Oh,
kisses Kinryu. They do that like this far
yeah,
from the face. Looks like I'm eating a
yeah,
sandwich. Looks invisible sandwich. This far from the face, and she does the breath thing.
yeah.
I think she did that to Akiko as well. But yeah, that is our list, and now the reveal of how that affects the overall Macross. It's too big to get on the screen, so I mean,
Yeah.
I guess just bring up anything you want. But first, I've got the character ranking notes that I was mentioning before. Mylene, the change from Mylene. SDF Macross Mylene evolves into Macross 7 Mylene, which means she goes from B tier at a ranking of 50 to A tier at a ranking of 73. She improves due to Macross 7, which, surprise to you, I guess.
Really?
Well, I just mean because you don't like Macross 7, so the fact that a character would actually be better as a result from being in the show.
Well, I have said many times that I do like Max and Milia's arc in Macross 7, which I think is actually a much better arc for what it is than with the instant romance that we see in Macross. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've talked at length about how she's done dirty in SDF Macross because she has no agency. Sorry, the word escapes me a lot of times. She has no real
Yeah.
agency. She is effectively forced into the marriage, it feels like, because they had one knife duel and anyway. Max. Max goes from C tier at a former ranking of 49 from SDF Macross to B tier at a new rank of 67. Lastly, the only one who does not get improved by being in a new show, Exodol, stays at B tier, but goes from a 59 dropping to a 54. He loses 5 points from his new appearance. Or not his new appearance, obviously. He changed appearances, so I can't say that. his new appearance in a show. No, that's the same words. Him being in a new show did not help him. Probably because he goes from a informative guy who becomes a tiny little idol to a big coward.
Yeah. Who says it doesn't say anything until the very end? It's like, oh yes, I'm afraid. Why are you afraid?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Basically,
the
that's what
singing.
it is.
Oh, we can't beat the Proto Devlin. So yeah,
Yeah.
it still remains the show that the only S tier character in all of Macross so far, which is 22 years of content, is still just Roy Fokker.
Yep.
The only people who get dethroned from their top of tier stuff. Kaifun is no longer the top of C tier, as Chiba and Alice pushed him back. Who else? Oh, our Katie, our Marine, who has to teach Shin a lesson in Macross Zero, also gets pushed out of D tier top for Honey Suzuki, Colette, and Bobby. Bobby beats the Marine. And May holds on to top of F tier. Our worst character in all of Macross is Steven,
Who just died?
who died before the show even started.
Who
You
is a
suck,
footnote?
Steven. You suck.
Who is a footnote in the in two side characters and an omake?
By comparison's sake, though, our A tier top three are from three different shows. You know, Saraname is still the top of A tier, followed by Lin Min Mei from SD. Oh, sorry, Saraname from Macross Zero, followed by Lin Min Mei from SDF Macross, followed by Gamlin from Macross 7. It would only have been better if Graham weren't here and somebody from Macross Plus were, but I don't think that would have happened due to me. Because if we look across here, there's nobody from Macross Plus in A tier. Where's the next Macross Plus character?
C tier, I think.
Oh, I wonder how that happened.
Did we even no, I don't think we even classified them.
Did we
There's no
not? We
Macross.
have to have. Did we not?
Oh
Did we
yes.
forget to do that?
Yeah, we forgot. There are no Macross Plus characters here.
Oh, well, that show must have sucked. Okay.
Wow.
Clearly, I must have forgotten, or at some point, we must have said that we were going to do Macross Plus with Macross 7, and the fact that Macross 7 is like 50 plus episodes, I just forgot. All
Yeah.
right. We'll make a note. How many episodes is Frontier?
17, I think it is.
So it's only
Yes,
17 episodes long? Okay. Well, that'll be easy
yeah.
then.
Yeah.
That'll be like 2
Macross.
seasons of a modern anime. To
Yeah.
add the characters together, I mean. I'm
Yeah.
genuinely surprised. I thought that we had done Macross Plus as a
Nope.
ranking. All right. Well, I guess there's also the movies and everything too, though. When we finish Macross Plus, when we finish Macross Frontier, God willing, we remember, we will then also add Macross Plus to the ranking. You think
it's 25 episodes, not 17.
I guess
25 episodes.
leading question, but don't spoil it. Do you think Macross Frontier is good?
Yes.
Cool. Well, then again, you thought Macross Plus was good.
Okay.
Opinion.
I also thought Macross Zero was good.
Yeah, but I mean, opinion-based matters. Sorry, there's a sound coming from this direction I'm hoping to drown out with this. Opinion-based matters, though, is that I thought Macross Plus wasn't that great. So I know I'm on the minority there. I think a lot of lists have it like number 1 or number 2. Number 2, I think, usually. But when it comes to the opinion that Macross Plus is good, the fact that you think Macross Plus is good and then Macross Frontier is good, I don't know where to go from there.
Well, we're gonna be changing things up a bit, so it's gonna be a while until we get to Frontier.
Well, not a while.
But
Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, yeah, we finished Macross 7 a year ago. But if you're watching on Patreon, obviously and a lot of people are actually looking forward to this. We're going on a bi-weekly thing after this to do the OG Legends of the Galactic Heroes, and then Macross Frontier. So it's only going to be like a week for you on the Patreon. I'll not bronze. Bronze tier, you're still in the same boat as YouTube, just a couple of weeks ahead of them. But if you're on silver tier, you're with us on a per week basis. You've seen everything that we're doing, and you'll be getting Legends of the Galactic Heroes next week. Uh, well, a lot of people will be getting it in the next couple of weeks because obviously I think I'm going to be releasing these on the weekend. So basically Saturday and Sunday, it's just you and me. Macross in the mornings, Legends of the Galactic Heroes in the afternoons. So a wide variety of sci-fi at your fingertips here
Yes.
on Stoneface Reactions, Lessons in Theta.
Yep. But I do believe, let's say that Frontier is a more modern uh 21st century anime.
Here's my
And
question about if it's modern or not. What aspect ratio is it in?
I think it's at 10 by 40, I think it is. I'm making that up out of my it's a I think it's 44, I think it's 4K.
Is it the same
Or you
aspect ratio as Macross Zero was?
know.
No. Are we still in box format?
Let me see, what's the aspect ratio? Aspect ratio.
Is it in the same aspect
Um
ratio as Macross Dynamite 7?
I let me see. Aspect ratio is, well, in Blu-ray. I'm getting Blu-ray. Let me get, if I get the aspect ratio on Blu-ray. It doesn't say on Amazon. Ugh.
Honestly, at this point, I would have just opened up an episode and looked. But my point was entirely that we have two overlays, pre-built for us. One is this box format that we've been using ever since SDF Macross, because again, we're watching this in chronological format, in universe chronologically, which tends to be so far that Macross Zero was the most modern thing we watched first, which was our wide
Aspect
format.
ratio is, according to IMD 1.72 to 1 or 2.35 to 1. I don't know how that translates
Neither
to.
do I. I
Yeah.
guess I was explaining my entire point was that Macross Zero will be used for the only time so far our wide format overlay, and I have been waiting for us to reach a Macross show that was modern again, and my modern reading is wide format because I believe the real transition from old school anime to new school anime was going from box format to widescreen. Some people would say storytelling, or writing, or animation styles, or the inclusion of CGI, and I would say the evolution of anime changed when they thought everybody had a wider TV screen.
I would say certainly animation. Yeah. 24 minutes per episode. Um, yeah. According, these are the specs that are given, but I don't know if this is. Yeah.
Again,
There's not
it's
an
like the
interest.
TV changed when they thought everybody had a color TV, so they started broadcasting in color.
Yeah. Or it might just be giving the aspect ratio to the Blu-ray and not the show itself. So I don't think there's a change there.
We will find out in 2 weeks. That famous line from Total Recall that I can't get out of my head every time I say the words 2 weeks. But yeah, I guess other than that, any final comments about the top 5 episodes, the character rankings, anything?
I'm gonna say final thoughts on Macross 7. Probably repeats what I said before, but I want to make it absolutely clear. Admission. I admit it. So I did not. I originally skipped Macross 7 because the whole concept of the guitar and the thing and the, like a little, my BS meter was like, yeah, this is a bit too much. Yes, space travel, giant robots, giant enemies. Of course, we already are in that category. I understand that, but it seemed like a step too far. But like I said, I'm gonna give it a chance. We were told, oh, later episodes are gonna be great, and it's like, okay, eh, this show never delivered for me. It 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 had tantalizing aspects, And probably my biggest problem, if I were to make a review of Macross 7, is that at the core of Macross 7, you have a very one note, flat character, which is Basara Neki. And since I never really cared for him, it was difficult for me to care about everything else. I didn't care for him the way the show expected me to care, because he is, the hero of the show, right? If you like the music, as Theta does, and you're willing to disconnect, this is a great show. Otherwise, within Macross itself, let alone all the anime I watched, it's not the best so far.
Well, as you said, the mystery of the ruins, though, kind of makes it an important part of the show to watch. So I guess if you
But
were watching a full-on Macross watch-through, and for
as we
some
are,
reason we're being, I don't want to use the word pedantic, but frugal
mhm.
about your time, you could probably make it a slight detour. Watch these few episodes to understand what's happening, like explanation of who the Proto Devlin are, why they're doing this. I guess maybe the spiritual farm, but I guess technically that would be encapsulated in Macross 7, so maybe not important. But Mystery of the Ruins, you should probably watch to understand the history of the galaxy. I don't know. Macross F might do a better thing at some point, completely negating Macross 7. But I guess the idea is that a bunch of these things cross over into themselves. Like how if you watch Macross Plus, you know what the VF-17 is going to be when it shows up, or when Max shows up in his VF-22, you'll be like, oh, they did something with the YF-21, that sort of thing. So there is little bits of payoff, even in the manga, where Planet Eden has amazing tea. I didn't include it in the breakdown or the side note, but apparently it's very calming tea that people of Planet Eden drink. And the fact that we see how high strung our main characters are, and they're all from, or actually, Dyson's not from Planet Eden. He's an immigrant from Earth, or something. He's an immigrant from somewhere. Uh, how high strung those characters are, and knowing that there's this tea to calm people the fuck down. I appreciate that Macross Plus isn't forgotten by the storyline. I might not have liked Macross Plus all that much, but I don't want anything to be forgotten, which is why I'm saying that even if you're not a fan of Macross 7, maybe at least give some of it a try. Like, maybe take our top 5 recommendations and, well, preferably you watched it with us, so you don't have to go off on your own. But give it a shot at least. At least the best episodes. At least I would say that date episode, it is a bottle episode. Nothing before it really matters. Nothing after it really matters if it's the only thing that you see. It's a fun little Die Hard Macross 7 episode.
Yeah.
If you want to know what the characters are like, that one setup episode that I mentioned, or Lessons penultimate episode of the show. Maybe don't see the penultimate episode of the show to see what the characters are like. And I guess actually, to be fair to mine, mine's 5 episodes before the end of the show. Maybe not also the best episode to see what the characters are like, but we have our recommendations for you. Macross 7, obviously, Lessons was vindicated in his not wanting to watch it, but I feel like is its own thing, but very much still feels to be in the vein of SDF Macross. It is an extreme, the same way that Macross Plus was a realistic character interaction extreme. An Aeon Flux meets Macross, if you will. And Macross 7 is what if we watched a lot of Saturday morning cartoons and got high and then wrote Macross. So the characters feel like they would have been in SDF Macross in the background, having their own little character dramas, and nobody would have given a shit. And
Yeah.
it fits in that aspect to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that is it for us in Macross 7. We've finished our 4th series.
Second full series, but 4th installment.
Macross 0, SDF Macross, Macross Plus, Macross 7. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to say 4th series, even though 2 of them or
OVAs, yeah.
7 episodes total.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we are more than halfway done, because I believe all that's left is Macross F and then Macross Delta, and conceivably, even with our bi-weekly recording schedule moving forward on Macross, we might still finish before they finish whatever new thing they're working on, or 2 new
Yeah,
things. One's a movie, one's a show, as I hear.
Bandai is working on that, so we'll see what happens.
But I mean, as long as we're still recording shit together, I'm still available to go back and whatever they finish. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 100% down to watch it on a weekly basis, 1 episode, new release, to be able to then talk with the community of people who enjoy Macross and not know what's going to happen next. That's what I love most, like about, like, say, when we watch Switch from Mercury on the channel. It's a Gundam show that it's its own universe. Nobody knows what's coming, what's going to happen. You know, I'm just as knowledgeable now as everybody else. I love being in that position. That's why I love sometimes going back to seasonal anime and reacting to it. I love it when nobody is smarter than me. It's a rare position to be in, and I really like standing on that hill. Look, I know who I am, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm fucking dumb, but sometimes I get lucky. When you throw everything at the wall, something's got to stick.
The less I say, the better.
All right. Well, final thought? Any final thoughts other than what you already said?
This has been Macross 7.
I've been Theta. This has been Lessons, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?